My beloved Madridistas, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Madrid. Okay, got a very cool, very special video for you this time around. I thought it'd be cool to do just kind of a little wrap up in terms of where we are so far in the league, what we're seeing with Xavi and the new players. And I wanted to invite to join me for this discussion one of my favorite Real Madrid YouTubers out there, Dali FC. Very cool dude. We actually spoke a few weeks ago and did do a video that I think was posted on his channel. We did that a few weeks ago, but we thought it'd be cool to get together again and just kind of catch up on, sort of share thoughts on where we are so far. So super excited to have Dali on my channel. If you guys don't follow him, you should. Really great channel, very, very cool dude, and I think very interesting to follow. So without further ado, thanks for joining me. Here's my chat with our beloved Dali FC. Let's get started. All right, my fellow Madridistas, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Very excited today. I've got, one of my favorite Real Madrid YouTubers out there. Obviously, I kind of follow the other guys. One of my favorites, Dali FC. Dali, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on your channel, man. We did it on mine before the Club World Cup. I think it's only right we do it during international break too, man.
Absolutely, we should make a little tradition out of this.
I think so.
But I think it's a great thing to do because I do realize there've been a few other kind of Real Madrid YouTubers that have sort of popped up. And some of them I think are great. So I think these kind of collaborations are great. I think we should all sort of be one big Madridista family.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we should definitely do that. Although it's funny, I heard one guy interestingly was kind of in one of his videos talking shit about me, and it's kind of funny because I've never met the guy, but but I hopefully we'll iron all these things out going forward. But listen, I wanted to get your take because we've had a pretty interesting start to the season with a lot of the kind of frustrations that we have to deal with every year. But from a sporting aspect, I think we're seeing a lot of interesting things with Xavi. We have, we're winning, at least, perhaps not as convincingly as maybe we would like. But I think so far we kind of look okay. But I wanted to get your, what are your thoughts on kind of in general where the team is?
Yeah, it's a lot better than last year. I know that for a fact. First 3 games last season, 1 win, 2 draws. This year, 3 wins. And here's the thing. You can always improve on a performance, but you can never improve on a result. That's the thing. Every single one of the games that we've played, we've got to win. There's been things that we've tried. There's been things that haven't worked. But then there's been things that have worked, too, before. So I think that overall, I think we've done pretty good so far. Testing out Franco Mastantuono, I think, is a big thing that, we've kind of got away with a little bit. Like I said, we have had the results. And maybe he's not exactly starting level yet. But at the same time, we have no Jude Bellingham out there right now. We have no Endrick, no Camavinga. These are factors that we have to think about, too, when we're thinking about the season in terms and when we'll actually be a little bit better, too. When we have a little bit more depth, when, in my opinion, we have the best midfielder in the world back, I think we're going to be good. So what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you, and I think the players are adapting slowly. Look, we didn't have a complete preseason, so I'm a little bit more forgiving this year because I know they had to kind of rush to get back from the Club World Cup, and it takes a little bit of time for players to get into a new system and to get into sort of into fitness. So I'm giving a little bit of an allowance for that, but I think on the whole, I'm sort of happy with what I see. I get the feeling that that Xavi really is making a statement with his lineups and his substitutions, and I think the statement is, I count on everyone. I'm going to use all of you. Nobody is sacred, nobody is untouchable, and I'm going to make you guys run a lot. So you better get used to a lot of changes because I'm going to make you guys work your ass off. That's kind of the impression I have so far.
No, I would agree. I think the thing is, too, I wrote down a couple of stats, too. So last season, we scored 5 goals. This season, it's in 6 through the first 3 games. So we allowed 2, and we've only allowed 1 so far. We had 7 shots allowed on target last season. We actually have 8, which I was a little surprised too. But I saw the bigger one was big chances created against us. We had 4 at this time last season, and we've only had 1 this year. In
Yeah.
comparison to, I believe the number for Barcelona was 12 big chances created against them in the first 3 games. So the fact that Real Madrid has had 1
Yeah.
compared to Barcelona having 12, and Barcelona last season too had 4 at this time through the
Yeah.
first 3 games. So
Yeah. That's really noticeable because, you know, even if the raw numbers are, even numbers aside, because sometimes you can shoot from distance and it's not really a great opportunity.
that's the shot on target. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. So you got to be a little bit careful with the stats, but I think Courtois has had a lot less work to do
Hmm.
because we're stealing the ball much higher up on the pitch. Last year there were so many games where we were kind of in a low block, and it felt like, man, what are we? Are we a la vez? Like, are we? What is this? Like, who's who? And it was really frustrating. But I think this year we're pressing a lot higher. We're stealing balls in the middle of the pitch. We're stealing balls in the final third. And it makes a huge difference because when you steal a ball, the higher up on the pitch, the more danger you create because, you're obviously catching the other team off guard. So I think, defensively, we're much more effective because we're defending much higher on the pitch. So, yeah, no, I agree. Courtois had an easier time so far this year. One thing I wanted to ask you in terms of what you see so far, with everything that we know, and we know that the refs are an issue, and we know that Barca, there's so much uncertainty in terms of what players they can play, not play. What do you think the chances of winning La Liga are this year, in your view?
I picked us to win it before based off of kind of what Real Madrid did this offseason too. I think that we've added a lot in terms of our back line. We've brought in Carreras, who I had questions about coming into the season, to be honest. But we bring in Housen. I rated Housen from watching him at Bournemouth too, and I was just like, the profile that this kid has. 6'5", 20, Spanish, cool, calm, and collected with the ball at his feet. He hasn't shown it yet, but he can score too. I like him, but what he can do with the ball and progress the ball and some of the passes that he makes from the center back position, I rate. Bring a Trent in, and then Franco, I think, is kind of a bonus pick because I'm not sure how much he's actually going to kind of help out this year. You know what I mean? I think he's more of a future project more so than this season. But, my worry was kind of the start of the season too, and how we will go the rest of the way. Can we stay injury free, especially with like the Club World Cup? You see teams like Chelsea. Cole Palmer is out for a couple of weeks for them too. There's a couple of other teams too who are picking up injuries. Is that partly because that's just football and that's just what happens, or is that because of the Club World Cup? So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think that what we've seen so far from Real Madrid, we are slowly kind of getting some of the Carlo Ancelotti tactics out, and we are implementing a lot more Xabi Alonso. You are seeing it with the pressing. You are seeing it with the team pressing too, not just individuals at times. Fede Valverde, players like that. I've seen Kylian Mbappe actually press. I've seen Vinny Jr. press too.
Yeah, totally.
And so I think that we look a lot better, and I think Barcelona looks a lot worse on the defense too. And I think they can score with anyone, but that high line and the back line that they have too, it looks very vulnerable to me. So combination of things, I feel good about where we are. How about you?
Yeah, no, it's true. And also I get the feeling that with all the sort of antics taking place off the pitch, with the registration, Inigo Martinez having to leave, all the rumors that Fermin might go to Chelsea again because they can't quite get to Rule 1.1 in terms of financially being able to register the other players. And I think that uncertainty, and I know this because a lot of my friends who support Barca, they write to me and they say, we're really concerned because these are players that were an integral part of what we did last year. And it would be a real problem to lose them. They've already lost one. So I get the feeling that Barca is a little bit more distracted. I think they feel more pressure because obviously they played very well last year. So there's a lot of hype. I think they feel more pressure, but I think that there's a little bit of anxiety in terms of the player registration picture. And whether you like it or not, these things do affect you psychologically. And against Rayo, I thought Rayo played him off the pitch. I mean, I thought, Rayo, man, they talk about quick ball movement and, man, vertical football. Rayo was fantastic, man. They could have scored 3 or 4 more. So I do agree with you. I think that we look considerably better, or at least with I think potentially much better. And I think Barca is looking frail already. I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you too. And that's the thing. It's not a finished product today, anything like that. 100% we can get better. But that's what I mean when I say you add a Jude Bellingham back. You take away, because I believe Franco will be dropped once Jude is back. And I
Yeah.
think we might see more like that 3-5-2 system,
Yeah.
kind of like what we saw during the Club World Cup. But if you add in a Jude Bellingham too, with what we've already done, and we're so close. I mean, we were so close this weekend to smashing this week, and it ended up
Totally.
being a 2-1 against Mallorca. We
Totally.
had 3 goals ruled out,
Yeah.
and
It's
the
ridiculous.
offsides, the
Ridiculous.
handball rule, which I understand that it's a dumb rule at the same time, but it's just devastating these players when you think you scored 3 different times and
Yeah.
it's called out.
And
You're like,
and
no
by
matter
and by
what.
the way, and I think you could feel it at the end of the match. Like the last, there was I could sense these players like at the end of the match they felt a bit dejected. They're like, dude, we ran so much, we played so well, we scored all this goal, and it only 2-1. Like I could feel that they were a little bit dejected. Whereas if it had been 4-1, they would have been on the front foot. It would have been much more offensive, celebratory football. They would have been like, partying, let's try to score more. But you could tell that they were a little bit dejected. And it really worries me because when the refs make these decisions, it has an implication beyond just the goal.
Mm.
It affects the morale of the team for the remainder of the match. And in terms of that handball, even if you want to try to be a stickler about the sort of, if it's the offensive player and it touches an extremity, even if it's not a handball, if it's the player that scores, blah blah blah, but it's supposed to be immediately after the contact. So if the ball had hit Arda with his hands, like this, and then the ball had dropped to his foot and then he scored, then that rule would apply because it was immediately after the contact. But that was not the case here. The ball ricocheted. It was then played by another player. So the play is reset. So I think that even if you follow that rule, I think that was a legitimate goal. But, very demoralizing. And I'm afraid we're going to have to be dealing with this crap all year, which is very worrisome.
Hopefully not, but it looks like it,
Yeah, I know.
unfortunately.
Look, I hate talking about it, but it's kind of hard to avoid. So that you just mentioned something I did want to ask you. So when Jude comes back, who do you think will be sacrificed? Do you think Franco will?
I personally think Franco will. I think there's no doubt that Jude Bellingham will be back in the starting 11. Now, the first day that he's available, will he be? Maybe not. Maybe he'll be subbed in the first time, right? But yeah, I would say Franco is my choice. I want to hear from you too, but I'll tell you why. I think it allows us to go to that 3-5-2 system. We can still do a Dean Howson and then a Rudiger, Militao, and then it allows Trumeni to do that kind of hybrid role, that middle center back or that DM role where he can move a little bit. And then
Yeah,
it has the midfield of Fede Valverde, Arda, and Bellingham
yeah,
with both Carreras and Trent, and then you got Vinny / Rodrigo, and then Kylian Mbappe, I would say, up top. That's what I
yeah,
would like to see.
yeah. No, that's definitely a possibility. I think in some situations it might affect Arda as well.
Hmm.
In some situations, I mean, it's very hard to say. I think you're right. I think probably Mastantuono will be probably the first person to be sacrificed. In some cases, other cases, maybe Arda. But he's going to be rotating a lot, so I don't think it isn't the kiss of death for any player. I think that he's proven that he's going to make an enormous amount of changes and that he wants everybody on their toes. If you have a player that's been sitting on the bench 10 matches in a row and then all of a sudden he starts, it's very hard. I mean, to expect fireworks. Players need to stay in match fitness. They need to feel like they're part of it. They're part of the team. They're engaged, and kind of regularly, on the pitch. So yeah, I think it's very important for morale, and I think Xavi's doing an awesome job of that. And by the way, another thing I wanted to ask you: what are your first impressions of the Champions League draw?
Yeah, it is pretty interesting in my opinion too. I think there's a couple of games that I'm like, really? Like that's what we got. I mean, we always knew we were going to be getting Man City, right?
Yeah.
That we always knew that was going to be happening.
And
I th-
Liverpool. It's always Man City and Liverpool.
and then with them just getting Isak confirmed yesterday, I think that's going to be a very, very interesting one for us to actually see how that looks. Um, They are a good team. I think that they've added a lot of very good players in terms of Liverpool, but we'll see. I still worry about Frimpong and Kirkes for them, so we'll see what happens. We could lose to them, and I wouldn't be that surprised, but that's gonna be a tough one. And then how about us having to travel all the way to Kazakhstan as of now, 2 days after we travel to the Metropolitano.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's insane.
How? But I mean, how? I do not understand how they can possibly justify this, because if your transit is 11 hours, there is no way that you can play this intra week. So I think, look, Seferin is all about the Benjamins, and obviously, this was financially beneficial to UEFA, clearly, to include this team.
Mm-hmm.
But it's incredibly detrimental to the teams that have to fly out there. And I don't know how they're going to do it, because even if you allow 3 days between matches, it's not enough. It's just not enough. I don't know how they're going to do this. I was hoping that match would be the last one, because that way maybe you've already qualified, so you can just kind of send the B team,
Yeah.
but it's not the last game, so we're going to have to figure out how the hell to do this, and I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, and it's not even a late kickoff too. It's like an early kickoff. So that's the thing that we'd have to figure out with that. I don't know. The other teams, Juventus, Marseille, Olympiacos. I think Olympiacos will be a difficult one. I think that might be something, traveling to Greece.
Yeah.
And that'll be a hostile environment. I also think us playing Benfica, I think that's going to be a tough one too. And that's the last one. So
yeah. Benfica is, I mean, they at home, they're always a little bit more difficult. And in Greece, the atmosphere in places like Greece and Turkey, the atmosphere is really, really hostile. Those are tough places to play. I think the group was difficult, but I think doable. Some of the other groups have some pretty interesting matches as well. I wanted to ask you about, perhaps of the new signings, the one that has me a little bit concerned is Trent. I don't know what you think so far. He was a little bit better in the last match, but what do you think is going on there?
We did get to see him during the Club World Cup, so I thought that is a good thing. I think the thing with Trent, he's still adjusting to Spain. He's still adjusting to everything that goes into being a Real Madrid player. And I think the system too, the players that we have don't always... It's not using his ability to the best ability, I think, at the same time, where what he's great at is crosses and distributing the ball. And when he doesn't have a tall figure out there, like, I mean, how tall is Mbappe? 5'9", something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Vinny's 5'8". You don't have a tall striker that you can cross the ball to. So we're kind of crossing it to nobody sometimes still. Yeah. I think we've seen it a little bit more in the last one, where he had that beautiful ball for Kylian Mbappe's first offside. More like that, more distributing the ball, switches to play. I think that's where we will see him excel. And I think it just takes a little bit of time to get used to exactly when to make the runs and stuff like that. But I don't know. I would agree. I think he's kind of been the one. I would exclude Franco from this, but I think that Carreras and Dean have been flawless, almost, in my opinion. I think they fit in very, very well. They look like they've been playing together for a very long time.
Totally agree.
But I would agree with Trent too. And defensively, he does worry me, but he did make a very good slide tackle, so I will give him his flowers for that. So
and he also took a shot from distance the other day, which he put a lot of power behind it. It was just wide of the post, but he put a surprising amount of power behind it. So I think that's a really good threat. But it just felt to me like he was starting to come out of his shell a little bit, trying to take people on one-on-one, making those crosses, lifting his head, and even taking a shot from distance. I think maybe it's just a matter of adaptation and confidence. But hopefully he'll come around. I agree with you completely that the Carreras and the Huijsen thing man, where did we find these guys? These guys are phenomenal. I mean, Carreras I knew. Huijsen we had seen play more, and he shocked me in terms of just his maturity on the ball. He doesn't panic. He's like, man, it's like he has the calm experience of a 30-year-old, but he's 20. Like, it's crazy. And then Carreras, who I didn't know that much about, I've been really impressed at his mobility. the guy runs a lot and he's very quick. He seems to be everywhere. Like he's sort of up all the time and back all the time. He seems to have a lot of stamina. The guy is like capable of an enormous amount of running. But his positioning and his ability to kind of combine with the other players and to always be where he needs to be, I've been pretty impressed. So yeah, I think those were two unbelievable purchases. I'm really happy so far. By the way, when is Jude expected back? Do we know yet?
End of October is what I've seen. So that's the good part about the Champions League draw, and actually when the schedule comes out, that we should be facing both Liverpool and City with him back.
Okay.
So that's the good thing. I would probably say, the way with these injuries, it always seems that they come back a little bit earlier. So I wouldn't be that surprised if middle of October that we actually start seeing him like ramp it up a little. But we'll see what happens. I think, don't we have another international break sometime in October?
Yeah, there's a break coming up now. But yeah, I agree. And then, like you say, he'll probably come in. He probably won't start right off the bat. I think he'll probably, get 30 minutes in the second half, and then they'll bring him back little by little. But what did you think of the other day? I was shocked that Carvajal played 85 minutes. I was really surprised for a number of reasons. But how did you find him? I thought he was okay. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you right now, in all the videos I've made ever since that injury, because he tore everything. MCL.
It was hard to watch.
It was brutal. I could even imagine seeing it live. But and then at the age he's either 33 or 34 as of recording this, that you don't usually come back from injuries like that. And usually what happens when I've seen it throughout sports, not just like football, is an ACL injury, you're usually better like the year after the injury actually happens too. So not the season, not like 1 year after, the year after that, right?
Right.
And so I've been saying time and time again, like, do not expect him this year. He might be on the team, but he's not going to do anything. And then he, like you said, he played 85 minutes the other day. And
surprised.
I thought he was solid out there too. Yeah. Defensively, he's a lot better than what Trent offers us. And here's the thing, I've always rated Carvajal. I think Carvajal is one of the most underrated right backs in the history that I've seen.
Oh, so I mean, absolutely. And also his experience allows him, because obviously he's got to conserve his energy more because he's getting older, but his experience allows him to sort of pick out when to make that run going forward, when not to make it. So he's not wasteful in terms of his energy because of the experience that he has. I thought he was quite good. Like in some of the long sprints, I thought maybe there was maybe a tiny fraction of speed missing. But in terms of where his aggressiveness attacking the ball, going to ground, making challenges, that aggressiveness was there. It was definitely Danny. I mean, it was definitely him. So I thought he played pretty well. I was kind of impressed. And I suppose that Xavi did it to give Trent some rest. And also to sort of let Carvajal know that he's going to be utilized. So, get ready because we are going to use you. But yeah, I'm really surprised at how quickly he came back. That's extraordinary.
Yeah, I was surprised with it too. And then, like you said, the fearlessness that he had, there was no hesitation with the leg.
Exactly.
And that's usually what happens. A lot of times they have the injury and they're like, I'm kind of scared to use the. No, he was getting in there. He looked as close as he can look to the Danny Carvajal that we know. Now, question for you, and this was brought up to me before too. If we're playing Liverpool and we're playing these elite wingers, do you want Trent out there or do you want Carvajal? Or do you think there's an option that we could be doing both of them out there and maybe we switch the system?
Yeah, there was some talk about that, about sort of sticking Trent in a kind of pivot defensive midfield position. They tried that with the English national side. It didn't work particularly well. I think that he has to go with Trent. I mean, I think he's going to have to go with Trent. That's, you brought him in for a reason. He's a younger player. He's obviously going to be able to run more, even though Carvajal looked good. Carvajal, even though he was good the other day, he is coming back from a massive injury. He was off the pitch for an entire year. There is that little touch of speed that's still kind of lacking. Trent needs to be on top of his game, and he needs to get used to these big venues. So I don't know. I think he'll start with Trent, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Xavi looks like he's going to surprise us a lot this year.
Yeah, I was surprised even with like the whole Rodrigo situation too,
Yeah.
because I thought I was like, okay, if this guy doesn't play at all, like he's just gonna get sold, and I was like, or maybe after the transfer window's closed, then he'll play. But for him to be getting that start in the second game, that was something I never thought would happen.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. The Rodrigo situation, I've tried to address it in some of my videos. There was a little bit of animosity that began brewing a couple of years ago when he had that interview and he was saying all these nice things about Man City, and we don't like that. Okay, I mean, we just don't like our players doing that. But that didn't go down very well. Then on some occasions when he didn't play, he was a bit bratty about it, kind of looked a bit pissy. That didn't go down very well. He also, some of his entourage were suggesting he's not getting enough recognition in Madrid and that, he's wanted in other places. And just that noise, even when it's not the player, but the entourage of the player, we don't like that shit. We just don't like that. We like our players to be quiet and work hard. So I thought that there was enough animosity there that we would consider selling him. And I really thought it was a distinct possibility. I think that the Rodrigo camp was entertaining different possibilities. It wasn't just us talking about it. I think he was thinking about it. But then all of a sudden he plays and he starts from the first minute. And now I'm thinking, well, too late. Now I guess he's staying. So yeah, that did surprise me a little bit. Do you think he's going to play regularly? Like, what percentage of matches do you think? This is a tough question. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot. How often do you think he'll start?
I think it's going to be, I want to say 25, 33%. I could see him starting in some more of these games than we probably think, to be honest. And here's the thing. I think he's going to be at least subbed on way earlier. I'm talking like 60th, 70th minute at the latest in some of these games. But, I'm fine with rotating. I think it kind of lights a fire under Vinny's ass to make sure, dude, if you're not performing, like I don't care what your name is. If you're not performing, you're not going to start.
I agree.
So, and it seemed to work a little for Vinny, back-to-back goals, first time since January for him, Champions League, it was Copa del Rey, Salzburg, and Celta Vigo, and then back-to-back goals in La Liga since October is what we've just seen. So I think it works, but 25% for me for Rodrigo. What would you say?
Yeah.
That's a tough question.
No, I mean, I think that's probably not too far off. I mean, it could be, well, clearly it's subject to obviously injuries, but that's unpredictable. But all else being equal, I think, something like a third is probably about right. I mean, he can play on the left sometimes. That's always a possibility if Vini is injured or if he wants to be experimental. But then on the right, you have Mastantuono. On the right, you have Brahim. You've got Jude coming back. It is going to be trickier. But I think 1 in 3 is probably not a bad guess. But for Rodrigo, that's a disaster. I mean, you have to, I understand the tension that's there, because if you're Rodrigo, you're like, dude, I'm supposed to be one of the superstars of this squad, and I was the bomb 2 years ago, and now I'm playing 1 in every 2 or 3 matches. That's not going to go down very well. Look, whether we'd like to admit it or not, we have 1 forward too many. I mean, I'm sorry, we just do. And this is no criticism. I love them all. I wish I could play them all, but we can't. And we have 1 body too many up front. And I think that's going to continue to be a lingering problem until one of them leaves. So
who do you think is the most likely to leave? Do you think it is Rodrigo?
I think it probably is. I think Vini, now this is something I want to mention. I'm not very happy about with Vini. He's in the middle of his renegotiating a contract renewal, and his entourage, it's always the agents that kind of screw everything up. They were about to sign, the terms were ready to go. Everybody was ready to sign. And all of a sudden, Vini comes back and says, well, I want a bonus for extending. I want an extension bonus. And Real Madrid is like, what are you talking about? The bonuses are something that you pay a player who's a free agent, and you want him to come to you instead of somewhere else. So you don't have to pay a transfer fee, but you pay a bonus so a signing bonus, so he'll come. But when he's already part of the club and we're just extending you, why should we pay you, an extension bonus? Like, so that did not go down very well in Madrid. Florentino does not put up with this crap. He's had Sergio Ramos in his office, and he's basically told him to F off. He's had Cristiano in his office, and he told him to F off. Florentino does not piss around. You respect your contracts. No, we're not renegotiating anything. So even though Vini is causing trouble, I still think Rodrigo would probably be the most likely player to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would probably agree. And here's the thing. As much as I love him and as much as I would wish he would stay, he would probably benefit more from being at another place. That's how I feel. I think he will never reach his full potential at Real Madrid. And I think he could be probably one of the best left wings in the world at any other place, whether it's in the Prem, Serie A, Bundesliga, it doesn't matter. I think he would be fantastic. Now, I do have a question for you. We mentioned the Vini contract too. There's a couple of things, 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
There was the reported Saudi Arabia $350 million euro offer or whatever this summer. Would you have taken that offer? That's question 1. And question 2 is, would you give Vini a contract now, where we're at now, with like the whole, like you said, the negotiating thing, the signing bonus and stuff? Or would you say, you know what, dude, go earn your contract, play it out, and we'll see what happens?
Yeah, good questions. I think for 350, and I'm going to get a ton of shit for this. The comment section is going to kill me for this. I think for 350, I would have sold him. I think for 350, I would have sold him. I would have sold him because, we're not a state-owned club. We don't have unlimited resources like, Man City or PSG. We're a club that has to administer its finances very effectively. We have to exploit. We have to really get leverage out of our assets, and we have to be clever about our purchases and sales. And that's a huge amount of money, and it goes a long way for the financial stability of the club long term. And to be honest, Rodrigo is better on the left. I think what Vini can do, Rodrigo can also do on the left. Mm-hmm. So I think, to answer your first question, I would have sold him, and I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that. And then, secondly, with Vini, I think the approach to take is to do what Real Madrid always does. We will offer you the extension that we believe you deserve, and it'll be with numbers that we think are market value. It'll be a very respectful extension offer. But I think Vini can't get too cute. Real Madrid is very strict about this. Real Madrid does not let any player muscle it. The club is always bigger than any player. And we make that categorically clear the second anyone arrives. This is bigger than anything you've ever dreamt of. So, I think we're going to make a fair offer, and that's all we're going to do. And I think Vini's going to have no choice but to take it.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I would agree. I would have sold Vini as well, just to be honest, just because I don't think the drop off between Vini to Rodrigo, you already have like a replacement there. So it's not like you have to go get another left winger and then you could use the money. But I think the same with Vini. I think that's going to be a storyline that we watch though throughout the season. Yeah. And if we don't have a extension agreed, I think his contract's up 2027. So we would be going into the summer on the last year of his deal. So that could be an interesting thing to see, but we will see.
Oh, and also, how do you see Militao so far?
He's been quite a surprise to me in a good way. He doesn't look like the player who's coming back from back-to-back ACLs, and that's what he is. Rudiger looks a little more injury, like hesitant than what Militao has done. I've been surprised how much Militao's actually played, but it's funny. We saw the glimpse, even though that game was really shitty against PSG. We saw the 20-minute, and you're like, hey, like this guy doesn't look that bad. I think rotating both him and Rudiger would be beneficial for us too, because it keeps them both fresh. So many times last year, Rudiger was in it like 90 minutes, and he was hurt the entire time. Yeah, so
he was exhausted. He was playing too many minutes.
Yeah, so I've been happy about it. How about you?
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. And I think switching those two, even every other game, I think is a fantastic idea, because you keep, like you say, you keep both of the players in shape. You reduce the risk of injury very significantly by altering each of them. I think in terms of what shape they're in, they're probably in similar shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you can say that one is like a million times better than the other. I think that they're both roughly around the same level right now. So I think swapping them every other game is a really, really good idea. And another thing, well, just two more things, because before we, because I think we're already 30 minutes in, but I wanted to ask you about Arda, because Arda Guler is getting a lot more minutes under Xavi. I think that generally speaking, he's playing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see sort of going forward? Do you think that he'll continue to get that many minutes with Jude coming back? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I do think he will get probably the same amount of minutes too. I think he's actually going to benefit a little bit more from having Jude out there, being able to pull in defender, because what Jude I think will continue to do is crash the box, and also having kind of like a little bit more of a playmaker out there too, a little closer to Arda, I think will benefit Arda. And the thing is too, when I'm looking at like the Club World Cup, he did good in all the games. So he gets the two assists against Borussia Dortmund too. He gets a goal against Pachuca. He was consistently good too. And here's the thing. I said a hot take on my channel. I said at the end of the season, I could see him being considered a top 5 midfielder in the world. I think he's going to put up insane stats. I think he already has a goal and assist through the first 3 games. I think he has great vision and stuff. I'm not sure exactly if he's the controlling midfielder that we need out there. I think he's a little more aggressive than that, because I think he's a 10 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I have very high expectations for him, and I think the Kylian Mbappe, Arda Guler connection is going to be insane. I think he's going to assist Kylian so many times this season.
Yeah. We've already seen some of that. And then Fede, I've noticed that he's a little bit less present in the final third. He's obviously working his ass off, and he's mission critical defensively. But I don't know, and I could be wrong. Maybe I'm imagining it, but he seems to be less involved in the attack. I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I've seen other people say that too, and I see it. At the same time, I do think that more than anything, he just hasn't scored a goal, and he hasn't taken as many shots as I think that we're kind of used to seeing Fede Valverde take last season too.
Right.
And so maybe it seems like he's less there. I still think he's doing a very good job. I think the press from him has been insane. There was a time too, I think it was in the Oviedo game, where Franco won the ball back and Fede gets the ball immediately after it passes it to Kylian. And it was very, very close to being an assist. And so I think he's getting involved. I still think that maybe the role he's trying to adjust out there too. And here's the thing too, he's also helping, whether it's a Franco up top, maybe not known as the best defender in the world, or a Trent Alexander-Arnold in the back. He has to kind of cover a lot for them too. So maybe it's more of his role too, and that's why you don't always see him in the final third.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Okay, final question, and we have to do this. And I got to put you on the spot here. Okay, Kylian, he's looking as sharp as we've seen him look in the past few years. He's a wonderful player, and he looks in tip-top shape right now. We know a bunch of goals will be taken away because La Liga is La Liga. But how many goals do you think he gets away with this year? In all competitions. So last year he was 44, right?
I believe.
I think it was 44 in all competitions. So, do you think he beats that this year?
I do think he beats it. Now, we have a World Cup this year coming up too.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So if you include that, the form, after he didn't feel well whenever he was in Miami and stuff, and he did lose some weight, and maybe that was good weight that he lost, because he looks quicker out there.
He does.
Every time he gets the ball, I expect the ball to be put in the back of the net. That's just the form he's in. I'm going 60. I could see 60, and I would not be that surprised.
Nah, you know what? That's ballsy, but I think that, I think you could be right. He looks so quick.
Mm-hmm.
He looks so quick, and his finishing is really sharp right now. Like, you do get the feeling that if you just get the feeling he's going to score every time. Yeah, every time. Oh, you're absolutely right. Fantastic. Well, we have an interesting season to look forward to, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, I hope that we can do this, periodically, Dali. It's great to get your view on this stuff. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Well, listen, we're looking forward to a fantastic year. But listen, thank you for we will do this again, I hope. But thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. And let's not wait too long to do it again.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Take care. We'll speak soon.
Sounds good. Cheers.